Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Thursday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. Things go from bad to worse in Miami for the Lakers. Is there any fix to what ails them? That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday. No matter how or where you get your podcasts, this one's always free. It's never behind a paywall because Lord knows you can't put anything behind a paywall after a 41-point loss. That is a good way to just not get anyone to join in the fun. So Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where over 26,000 subscribers are, quite frankly, appalled at what they're seeing these days with the Lakers. They go into Miami on Thursday and they lose 134-93 in a game, Andy, that I actually think this is fair to say wasn't as close as the score might indicate.
This was an absolute disaster on, basically every front possible, because even if you were to try to look for something that provides hope, LeBron James, for example, at least offensively, he, like everybody, has to answer for what was just an abysmal, catastrophic showing on the defensive end. Like, LeBron actually broke out of his offensive slump, 29 points, 12 of 18 from the field, hit a three. He hit a three.
Yes, broke the streak.
Yes, that is now done. 1 of 4 from the arc, but that one breaks it. But, in the meantime, he had 5 turnovers and was a part of the defensive issues that were just at times laughable if your jaw wasn't so far on the ground that it couldn't move to actually make the laughing sounds.
Ha, ha, ha. I keep an informal statistic when I watch games, particularly now with the Lakers. Baskets I could have scored. And maybe people can't see, from here to here, maybe, my head, my face, my neck, I look like a decent basketball player. I am not. I am terrible.
I don't think anybody suspects that by looking at your head.
Maybe you just
Wow, all these illusions shattered, Brian.
All Jordan over here, with his podcast.
We've been covering this team for like 20 years, and all these people have been wondering why you never played for him.
Until now. I'm a hooper. But you can be a decent hooper and not play professionally. I am neither of those things. I'm terrible. There were at least 3 baskets tonight in the game on Wednesday that I could have scored. Like, I was open enough that, and like the defensive pressure was non-existent enough that I could have stood in the lane, caught the ball, and gotten a layup. Would have looked like a small child doing it, but I would have scored 6 points in this game. I would have scored 6 points at least.
Okay, to your point, there was a third quarter moment where Duncan Robinson got the ball under the basket and was so uncovered, he actually panicked. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. This is so damn weird. And,
he thought they were hiding somewhere and were about to ambush him from a different spot.
He ended up kicking the ball out, and of course, because Miami hit 24 threes in this game. They scored 72 points on threes alone. Of course,
say that number, Andy. Did they hit 24? The Lakers took 22.
Dude, they 24 threes in this game, 72 points on threes alone. I'm going to show you something crazy. I really want to emphasize, this is unusual for, if you're not somebody who, like us, it's been our job to watch statistical trends, things like that. I wanted to look up Miami's 3-point percentage as a team, after this game. Mm-hmm. And I first went to ESPN.com and I looked at their number. And then as I was about to write it down, I was like, you know what? I'm not 100% sure ESPN will be up to date on this. I'm going to go to NBA.com because NBA.com is always up to date.
It updates very quickly.
Right. It's almost instantly. And on the left, let me show you Miami's 3-point percentage. If you can't see that far in, 37.1 as a team, which is basically the before. Here's NBA.com, the after, 38.0. Miami raised its 3-point percentage as a team by almost a full point. That's hard to do from one game. Like, that's really difficult to do.
I tweeted out during the game at Cam Brothers that the Lakers were treating the 3-point line like vampires treat the threshold of your house. You know, the thing like vampires cannot enter without permission, as if the Lakers were simply not allowed to cross that line defensively. I mean, even in the second quarter, there was a moment where the Lakers got off to a terrible start. I mean, and JJ Redick talked about this after the game. Like, they were so far behind so quickly. 23-9 was, the run at the beginning of the game. They were behind so quickly, kind of took them out of what they were doing. I'm not sure what that was, but whatever it was,
I'm not sure they
out.
Knew what. I mean, yeah. I'm not even being
facetious
about this. If you listen to Redick and the players, I'm not sure they knew what they were doing to be taken out of it.
So I'm watching them, and they get to within 8, they get to within 7. I think 7 was the closest that it got, but it's like, okay, making a couple shots. I hesitate to say getting stops because they didn't really get stops. Miami just missed the same wide open threes that they were making at the beginning of the game. And look, I mean, I noted this. The everydayers will really heard us talk about this for a bunch of games now. Say, take away the Utah game, I guess, and some decent defense against Oklahoma City. They cannot get enough stops to really even think about 93 points on the heels of 80 points. Like, they've got major problems on both sides of the ball. Clearly need Austin Reeves to get pumped back in the lineup to get a little more firepower. But they are so they are so far beyond bad defensively. They're not bad by, you want to be a Western Conference contender, you got to really pick it up. Like, you're not bad by fringy playoff team standards. You are catastrophically bad.
They're bad by lottery team standards.
By bad lottery team standards. By the Washington Wizards.
Like, standards. You would think they were in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes the way they're playing defense right now.
Yes. And, God, New Orleans must love this. But it's Redick called it embarrassing. He said, I'm embarrassed, we're embarrassed and all that. And it is. I mean, it is.
It was a word used by LeBron and AD. They both used the word embarrassing. That may have been like the buzzword from the post-game speech / tongue lashing / what the F are you people doing from JJ Redick. But 2 for 2 in terms of players that I heard afterwards talk, both use the word embarrassing. So
here's the question that I want to ask coming out of the break. And look, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, like, listening back to shows, kind of, we watch the tape, Andy, as they say, what have we been doing better? How could we make the show better? Or things we could do. One of the things, like, give a little rundown, let people know what's coming, and all. What's coming is defense, and like there's nothing to even run down in a game this bad. You lose 134-93, and again, reminder, it wasn't that close. What does it mean to be embarrassed? That's my question. If everybody's embarrassed, so what? What does that mean for what you do on the court in response? Because they didn't play like they were embarrassed. And I want to talk about that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Chime. Take control of your finances by using a Chime checking account with features like no maintenance fees, fee-free overdraft up to $200, and getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. So here's how it works. Set up a direct deposit in your Chime account, and after a qualifying direct deposit of $200 plus, Chime will notify you to enroll in Spot Me. And with an activated debit card, Chime will spot you up to $200 when you exceed your balance. And your next direct deposit is applied to your negative balance. Chime never charges fees or interest for using Spot Me. Make your fall finances a little greener by working towards your financial goals with Chime. Banking services and debit card provided by Bancorp Bank NA, or Stride Bank NA. Members FDIC. Spot Me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details.
Okay, Andy. So I'll take them at their word that they were embarrassed by the game. I wasn't even playing. I was just kind of embarrassed to have it on the TV. Daughter walks by and what the hell? I mean, she knows her numbers now. She's like, this is good. What's the one thing that if you're being embarrassed in a game, the one thing that you can fix? There's one thing you can control on nights when everything is going wrong. It happens to every game, every team, in every sport, sometimes for multiple games at a time, whether you're good or bad. Another thing that Redick was exactly right when he said, even good teams have bad stretches. There's one thing that you can control when you are supposedly embarrassed in an athletic contest.
How hard?
I think you know what I'm talking about.
How hard you fight back?
Exactly. Effort.
Yep.
And fight and emotional investment and all that. And I don't know, seemed like it was missing to me.
Well, after the game, and I'm not looking to rehash the particulars of the debate we had for Wednesday's show about the merits and the impetus for how much switching the Lakers do defensively, which is to say on every single possession.
All they do is switch.
All they do is switch. And I, by the way, appreciate the people chiming in the comments section, weighing in. Some people agreeing with me, some people agreeing with Brian. You can go back and listen to the discussion, but either way, it was awesome just to get the engagement on it. But in the post-game show for Spectrum Sportsnet, both James Worthy and Robert Horry in particular were picking up on the thing that I talked about with the Lakers' propensity for switching, and that this James Worthy said, it makes your defense lazy when you know you're going to switch. And just the idea that I feel like the switching scheme, edict, I don't know, desperation, however you want to justify them doing this, I feel like it feeds into a lack of competitiveness. Mm-hmm. And whether it's because being told to switch on everything makes you feel like the coach is already telling you, I know y'all suck, so just let's do the best we can with sucking, or it feeds into a lack of competitiveness that you feel with this team on a regular basis defensively. I feel like I'm not saying this will fix the defense because it's clearly going to take a laundry list of things to fix it, but that is one thing I would like to see change.
See what you
moving forward. It wasn't even on purpose. Moving forward, because if nothing else, I feel like it will start making them just work harder defensively. And this team, even if they're not going to be good defensively, they need to work harder at it, even if they're bad at it.
Here's because the one thing that we disagreed on the why they're doing it.
To some degree, to
some degree. But I think we both agreed on some of the fallout. It does make you less physical. It makes you lazy. Good word, bad word, or not. But there are certain things you just don't have to do. Fighting through screens and chasing guys around the floor, and just there's less of it, and you can play better and more physically and with a more aggression and all that, which is I think what they're trying to get them to do, and just have to think about fewer principles and think about fewer things. But if the results are such that there is a downside to playing the way that they do, I agree with you, and I think it is exactly what you're talking about. It is a certain lack of physicality, a certain lack of fight, a certain lack of other, and you're getting your ass kicked anyway. Do it another way. What are you going to do? Lose by 50?
You said something to the effect of not wanting to, as far as your principles, schemes, whatever, like not having to think about it too much, like in terms of what you're doing. And that could be
simplify it, make it less complicated,
right.
Because if you're at a disadvantage physically, if you're not as good at it,
sure,
when you have to try to do complex things,
right,
it's that much more.
I get what you're saying. There can be a fine line, though, and I don't mean just in basketball or sports. I mean like in anything. There can be a fine line between making things less complicated so you have to think about it less and making it so you don't have to be mentally engaged enough. And I feel like on a lot of levels with this team, and this bleeds into the offense right now because they have stopped doing a lot of the things that they were doing offensively as well earlier in the season, like in terms of ball movement, in terms of body movement, stuff like that. There can be that line between wanting things to be second nature so you don't have to think about it and removing so much thought that you're not thinking at all and you're not even engaging enough mentally in what you're doing. And I think if nothing else, that gets bled into with the way they're approaching defense right now. Like they don't seem mentally engaged enough on the floor, period.
Maybe. Well, that part I completely agree with. And but the other side of that too is this is not 7th grade, rec ball or even like highlight where there's a limit to the level of concepts that you can put in, but there's also a limit to how effectively the opponent is going to attack you. This is the NBA. This is professional, highly paid coaches with the best players in the world and the most talented offenses and whatever. And there is also a point where if you are playing too simple a defense, it's just too easy to read. If you never change your coverages in football, if you never, are they in a cover 2 cover? I'm using the wrong words, but like NFL quarterbacks are going to see whatever they're doing at the time. They'll annihilate you. And the Lakers are too simple right now to attack because everybody knows exactly what they're doing all the time. There's no variance to it.
That brings 2 thoughts to mind for me. First of all, I've brought up on a few recent shows, we're at a place right now in the season where teams around the league know what the Lakers are at the very least supposed to look like and how Redick is going to approach strategically on both sides of the ball. And every coach in the league is more experienced at making those adjustments than Redick is adjusting to those adjustments. So this is a learning process for JJ as well. But what's also, though, kind of scary with this is afterwards, JJ talked about how what they're doing isn't complex at all. Like, I mean, at least in his mind, what they're doing, he kept saying, like, this is the base level coverage stuff that they're doing right now. He even said, like, it's his words, nothing special. And they're not doing that part of it right. He's like, I want to make it clear. Redick said many times during this thing, like, I will take ownership of this. This is on me. I'm the leader of this team. But he also said, like, I can't make adjustments if you're not doing the base level things that I'm asking.
And he also said, I can't do it if you're not going to go out and play hard. And he said, I cannot, and attend, attention to detail.
And it didn't, so people know, it did not feel passive aggressive like Redick was saying it. Like, it's not, I take ownership, but I'm not really taking ownership. No, it sounded like he meant it.
We need to do better, but I'm part of the we. But there is a limit. I can't make you dot your I's and cross your T's.
Right.
Like I'm standing, but I cannot physically go out on the court and do those things.
Or write down an I and write down a T. Like, it doesn't even sound like they're writing things down, much less to dot and cross.
And there's just got to be a certain level of competing. You can tell when a guy like, I mean, I don't know his status from a health standpoint, because I know Quincy Oliveri was in a boot for a little while.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I do not know if he's able. You know what, Armel Traore, you can see some of his limitations when he's playing, but the guy moves, and
yes.
I'm not sure who I bench here, but and I'm not sure what, I'm not saying, bring up Oliveri and have him start, bring up, and let Traore play or whatever. But the point is you can see such a difference in speed and motor and whatever. And it's like, if you're not going to have guys who are playing well, at least you can have guys out there who are playing fast and playing hard. And, no one is immune to this. And it's just, it is embarrassing that, our friend Daman Rangula, who's been on the show a couple times and is just a phenomenal follow on Twitter, if you're a Lakers fan, pointed out, like, they just seem to have quit on a lot of, like, there is a level of competition that is just part of the NBA game. If you're going to be competitive in an NBA game, you have to hit this bar, and they're not getting there, with any kind of consistency, or too often when they get punched in the mouth, so to speak, the sports metaphor, they don't respond with anything. I don't necessarily want to put this away, because there's a lot still to talk about. We have to talk about Anthony Davis, though. We have not really talked about individuals. We've spent a lot of time in these two segments talking about the team and the team's effort and the team's performance. But a huge part of that is Anthony Davis, and he was really bad in this game on Wednesday, and we need to talk about him next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. Tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers, you can bet just $5 and you get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place, and even help you out, because let's just say you're watching a game and feels like you are anticipating every big touchdown pass, every single busted coverage, big turnover, whatever, but you just want to confirm your hunches. You can go to the FanDuel page and view live play-by-play and latest stats, all this great information, same page where you would place your bets. So it's streamlined, all right there for you. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. And again, you get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Find something really, really obvious. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
So look, Andy, and I hope people have checked the postcast with Dave Pillay and also signed up for the Locked on Lakers newsletter, Locked on Lakers, lockedondaily.com. Postcast is just a great way to catch up. So, but check out the postcast and then obviously continue to check out this show. So, there are a lot of people and things to unpack here if you want to go down performances. I mean, Dalton Connect, maybe we can talk about this for Friday's show. Dalton Connect has certainly, I think, reached the league is adjusting to me portion of his rookie season. And he is in a slump. Did very little of note on Wednesday. He played 22 and almost 23 minutes, took 4 shots, missed 3 of them, missed both of his 3-pointers. He scored 2 points. He had 3 turnovers. That is a 2-to-3 point to turnover ratio.
Well, also
good. And he scored 14 points in his last 3 games.
I mean, with Connect, we're seeing kind of like a bizarro version of Cam Reddish, in the sense that if, with Cam, the defense and the effort and the disruptiveness, I think, can often be there, but you wonder about how much it'll hold up against the lack of offense. When Connect is not hitting shots, you start seeing, for the time being, as a rookie still learning, You're not consistently getting much beyond that.
Not at all. And now, but like you can't have a conversation about what went wrong on Wednesday without talking about where Anthony Davis is right now. And I'm going to go back to his game log. November 21st in the loss against Orlando. This first game the Lakers lost after that 6-game win streak, which, my God, seems like it was 12, 13 years ago at this point. Oh my God, distant memory. 39 points against the Magic, 14 of 22. He had 13 trips to the line. He had 9 rebounds. He had 3 block shots. Don't blame me because Franz Wagner hit a shot to send the fans home all sad. I did my job. So cool. Then you get the Denver game, 6 of 19, 14 points, minus 26, thoroughly outplayed by Nikola Jokic. We talked about it. Bad game. AD got to do better. Comes back the next night, next game, I should say. 25 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, 4 blocks, 10 of 19 from the floor as the Lakers got throttled by the Suns. But again, Anthony Davis showing up and doing his job. Since then, though, Andy, 8 of 14 against San Antonio. They did pretty good in that one. 19 points. They didn't need him. But then you get 5 of 9, 15 points against the Thunder. And we start talking like Anthony Davis got to do more. Had a really nice game against the Jazz, but 12 points, 4 of 14 against Minnesota, 8 points, 3 of 14 against the Heat on Wednesday, which if you're keeping score at home means he is 7 for his last 28 from the floor. That is 25%. He is really not playing well, and the assertiveness that was part of his game at the beginning of the season seems to have disappeared.
He is settling a lot for jumpers. And, it's one thing, I guess. I'm not even saying like justified or not. I'm just saying more understandable, perhaps, if it's against a much bigger, more, physical front line. Like, for example, and this wasn't even the case, but like Orlando is a very big team, like across the board. Or if, say, Jokic or Vitas Zubats, like one of these big burly dudes that we've talked about before have sometimes given AD issues. Bam Adebayo is a very good defensive player, but Bam Adebayo,
he's a perennial DPOY candidate,
right? But Bam is not somebody who should be capable of keeping AD from the basket, like because you don't want to drive on Bam, like you're worried about getting outmatched physically against Bam. Like AD's bigger than him. So, and this has become a pattern over the last few games where it's felt like AD is really settling for jumpers, and even worse, they're not hitting.
My concern, Lakers have leaned
only
really
7
hard.
Rebounds in this game.
Yeah.
No blocks.
It wasn't good. My concern.
But I'm bringing up stuff that speaks specifically to physicality. That's why I bring that up.
I am concerned. Lakers have leaned really hard into Anthony Davis early in the season. We know he is playing with plantar fasciitis. We know it is it's been a problem. He's for the most part playing through it. I am concerned that foot is bugging him more than he is trying to let on, because when you feel like you don't have your strength, your spring, your stuff like that, you don't go to the basket as much. You don't put the ball on the floor as aggressively. You don't run the floor as aggressively. You take more chances defensively and try to cheat, which happened a couple times in this game, where he kind of sort of jump a passing lane in ways that are uncharacteristic of Anthony Davis. He can just move his feet with most players, let alone bigs. And so there are signs. I mean, everybody's tired. I mean, this stretch of games, I realize it's the NBA. When you play 5 games in 8 days or whatever they're on, that takes stuff out of you, and the burden AD has to carry. I realize he's not almost 40, but he's working for his paycheck. I don't think he's healthy, and he's getting closer to a level of unhealthy, perhaps in these, in this stretch of the schedule that isn't sustainable. Now, hopefully, when the Lakers, because they didn't make the IST final or semifinal, whatever it is, thankfully, they are with the rest of the league now, and we'll have a stretch of 10 days coming up where they play twice.
Oh, for those unaware, the games that are being added for the Lakers are Friday, December 13th. They will be playing in Minnesota, and then Sunday the 15th against Memphis at home. So they did not catch a break in terms of quality of competition with the games that were added. But just so people know, those are the two games being added to the schedule. And as Brian noted, they're at least getting some gaps in between games that clearly they could use.
And, Redick, what was interesting to me about it, so they play Friday in Atlanta, and then Monday against Portland. That's Monday the 8th. Then they don't play again until the 13th. They play on the 15th, and like you said, on Monday, and then don't play again until the 19th. So
they play Sunday against Portland, not Monday.
Sunday, yes, thank you. So between the 8th, Sunday the 8th against Portland, after that game is done, off on the 9th, off on the 10th, off on the 11th, off on the 12th, game on the 13th, off on the 14th, game on the 15th, then 3 off days before you're in Sacramento. Like, they got to get right. They got to figure out, can you beat Portland? Can you maybe beat a vulnerable Atlanta team? But they got to get right, and it's not they got to get right physically, they got to get right mentally, they got to get right from a scheme standpoint or whatever. And Redick talked
on
about
a 5-game winning streak, man. I'm not sure I'd call them vulnerable.
I didn't say it was going to be easy. There is no opponent that's going to be easy for them.
I'm just saying vulnerable is not the word I would use at the moment.
Sure, I think that's fair, but there's a lot.
That's the word I would use to describe the Lakers. The
Lakers
not anyone they're playing.
I think they're vulnerable. I think they're
beatable.
Vulnerable is you've got some weaknesses, you can get there. They're just sort of lying there. You don't have to try to take their wallet. They're passed out on the sidewalk with their wallet just sitting on their chest.
They're giving you they're giving you the PIN code for the ATM card
where they told you their password. It's it's not hard. But they're going to have to figure out how to get their stars right physically and get the rest they need, while also making sure they're using that rare amount of practice time to their benefit. It's going to be a lot to cram in because they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst games I've seen a professional team play. It was really bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, weekend's coming up, Andy. I'm excited about that. So, Locked On Lakers on YouTube. We're going to go hang out with over 26,000 subscribers. Get outside, hug a family member, look at some trees or something. I don't know. And we'll all regroup again for Friday's show. And check out the postcast, sign up for the newsletter. We'll see everyone tomorrow.